There are, of course, horror games. And there's also Silent Hill 3. I mean, Silent Hill 3 specifically. The game didn't just scare players, but unsettled in a way that lingered much longer after the console was turned off. It was pretty loud when it needed to be, silent when it hurt the most, and deeply psychological in a way that felt almost personal. Now, a pretty strong rumor is pointing toward a full Silent Hill 3 remake reportedly in deep, even full development. The conversation shifted from if to how far are they willing to go with it. Because, first of all, this isn't just another remake and a growing list of Silent Hill projects. This is a continuation of a full-scale revival of the franchise. Konami has already brought the series back into relevance with Silent Hill 2 Remake. The new entries and a broader plan to keep the series active again on a yearly cycle of releases and reinventions. What started as cautious testing is now turned into something much more aggressive. Silent Hill is no longer being remembered, it is being rebuilt right now. And if Silent Hill 3 Remake is truly next in line, then we're talking about one of the most psychologically intense entries in the entire franchise, being reimagined with modern technology, modern storytelling, and of course, modern expectations. The original Silent Hill 3 was already pretty different from what came before it. It wasn't just about a haunted town, it was about identity, trauma, inherited horror. It followed Heather Mason, a character who wasn't just surviving nightmare but was directly connected to its region. That made the game feel personal in a way that earlier entries only hinted at. The horror weren't just outside the protagonist, it was inside her story. A modern remake has the opportunity to push that even further. With the RE engine style visual fidelity Konami has actually been using in recent projects, the first thing that comes to mind is atmosphere. Not just fog and darkness, but texture. The way environment breathes, the way light barely survives in certain corners of the world. The way sound design can make empty hallways feel occupied even when nothing is there. Modern hardware doesn't just improve visuals, it changes how fear is delivered. And Silent Hill has always been about delivery. In fact, one of the biggest discussions surrounding a potential remake is how faithfully it would follow the original structure. The PlayStation 2 version was relatively linear, but its pacing was deliberate. It didn't rush horror, it let it settle in. Modern game design often pushes for faster engagement, but Silent Hill doesn't benefit from speed, it benefits from discomfort. That creates a real design challenge, which is, do you modernize the gameplay loop with more fluid combat and exploration like recent Resident Evil remakes, or do you preserve the vulnerability that made Heather feel so exposed in the original game? I mean, based on Konami's recent approach, especially with Silent Hill 2 Remake of course, the answer is likely, a hybrid system. Over-the-shoulder perspective, more responsive controls, but still grounded in limited resources and psychological pressure rather than just action dominance. The idea is not to turn Silent Hill into a shooter. It's to make the player feel like every encounter is a decision, not a routine. And then there's the world itself. You see, Silent Hill 3 didn't stay in one place. It moved between reality and nightmare in ways that felt less like transitions and more like collapses. Shopping malls, subways, abandoned buildings, each space felt familiar but wrong. A remake has the chance to expand those environments without losing their suffocating tone as well. Like, imagine those locations rebuilt with modern lighting systems and environmental details so dense that even safe spaces feel unstable. There are also rumors and speculation, of course, that Konami's broader Silent Hill strategy includes expanding the series beyond its traditional geographic boundaries. Developers have already hinted at exploring different regions and cultural interpretations of fear, which suggests a willingness to reinterpret what Silent Hill even means. That philosophy could also influence how Silent Hill 1, which is also in the making, and 3 are presented, even if the core story remains intact. Because Silent Hill is no longer just a place, it's a framework for psychological horror, and Silent Hill 3 is one of the most personal entries in that framework. If the remake is truly in full development, one of the biggest expectations is narrative refinement. The original story was already pretty strong, but modern storytelling techniques could deepen character motivation, environmental storytelling, and emotional pacing. Heather's journey could be expanded with more context, more subtle interactions, more gradual reveals that make the psychological horror hit harder over time rather than all at once. There's also the question of how far the remake is actually willing to go with its symbolism. See, Silent Hill 3 was filled with religious imagery, body horror, distorted reality shifts that weren't always fully explained. We think a modern remake could choose to clarify some of that ambiguity, or it could actually double down and make it even more abstract. Both directions come with risk. Too much explanation can kill mystery, too little can confuse new audiences. That balance is one of the most important decisions facing the project right now. On the technical side also, expectations are pretty high, but also grounded. Recent Silent Hill projects have shown strong commercial and critical momentum, with the franchise regaining millions of sales across remakes and new entries. That success is what gives Konami the confidence to keep expanding, and it also raises expectations for production quality. This is no longer a nostalgic experiment, this is a flagship horror pipeline, which means Silent Hill 3 remake would likely be built with AAA resources, modern motion capture, cinematic duration closer to prestige horror films than early 2000s game designs. All that being said, the real challenge is not technical. It is, of course, emotional. That's right. Silent Hill 3 worked because it felt oppressive in a way that couldn't be easily explained. It wasn't just the monsters, it was the tone, it was pacing, it was a feeling of being trapped in something that didn't care if you understand it. Modernizing that without losing it is the hardest part of any remake effort. And yet, if there is any studio that understands the challenge right now, it's Konami's current Silent Hill team. I mean, after years of silence and missteps, the franchise has returned with a clear identity. Psychological horror first, spectacle second. That shift matters. Because Silent Hill 3 is not about power fantasy, it is about vulnerability. It's about being pushed through a world that reflects trauma rather than simply containing it. If the remake stays true to that while refining the mechanics and presentation, it could become something rare in a modern horror gaming. Not just a return, but a reinterpretation that respects the original without being trapped by it. Of course, well, right now is nothing officially confirmed in a full detail, and much of this remains based on leaks, insider discussions, and industry patterns surrounding Konami's current roadmap. But the direction is pretty clear that fans are already imagining what it could become. A rebuilt Silent Hill 3 would not just revisit a classic, it would test whether psychological horror still works at its purest level in a modern gaming era that often prefers action, speed, and constant stimulation. And if it succeeds, it won't just bring back a game, it'll bring back a feeling that most games have spent 20 years trying to just recreate. And in Silent Hill, that slow dread, that quiet pressure, that sense that something is wrong and you are already too deep to leave. And in Silent Hill, that's exactly where the story truly begins.